Hello, everybody. Welcome into Week 5 of high school football. That means Week 6 of high school Roundup. Welcome in. I'm your host, Stephen Ruffing, and alongside me is Colin Kirkwood, Dylan G'day, and Mr. Devin Garina. Fellas, glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Steve. This is a special show with Devin here this week, so we're going back 4 wide here on High School Roundup. So, Devin, happy to have you on here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here as always. I like cutting the highlights, getting it in here for you guys, and doing some work.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys on the set. Another fantastic week of high school football, and unfortunately for Laurel Highlands, they got the loss. And Colin, I'm gonna hand these highlights over to you, so get ready. Laurel Highlands, they faced West Mifflin, and they had a really tough loss.
Yeah, so Laurel Highlands really kind of struggling out of the gate here. We perhaps thought maybe they had a chance to make the playoffs early in the season, but kind of hit a little bit of a roadblock here, looking to rebound and get back at it, and last week was not their week.
No, it wasn't. We'll get into the highlights right now. West Mifflin, they had a commanding 48-13 victory. Parrish Parker for West Mifflin was really the talk of the game. This is his 27-yard run. Look at him, making a lot of people miss. But Laurel Highlands, they answer right away. A nice fake handoff or a pitch to Ryan Fike for that 3-yard touchdown. Parker again, plowing his way through all of the linemen, a lot of bodies, 61 yards to the end zone. Parker, once again on the ground, this West Mifflin team really just tore up Laurel Highlands on the ground, especially Parrish Parker with that 22-yard touchdown run. And Parker again, a pitch out, 72 yards, makes his way to the left. Nice block there from his teammates. Passes for Laurel Highlands Mustangs. This guy has speed, especially when he has open space. 72 yards to the house. And then a different player for the Titans, Zion Weems, powers his way through for a 2-yard run. And LaRonde Wilder, he puts a score up on the ground as well. Look at that. You think he's down? No, he finds a space, he finds a hole, gets past 3 more Mustangs for a 40-yard touchdown run. And Laurel Highlands, a short run by Daniel Carney for 1 yard, and this is a big one. Off the kickoff, Andre Spencer. Again, just Laurel Highlands, unable to wrap the guys up. They find their space, they find the holes in the Mustangs defense, in this case, their kicking unit. 92 yards for Andre Spencer. West Mifflin 48-13. West Mifflin, their next game is Greensburg-Salem, and that's actually one of our pick'em games. Laurel Highlands, they are at Ringgold, which that has potential to be a good game.
Yeah, it does. And with Ringgold struggling this year, it'll be a good bounce back week for Laurel Highlands. But that West Mifflin Parrish Parker, man, he seems like the first time we've really seen him so far this season, he looks to be a stud running back in the Whippeal.
Yeah, very stud running back. And that Greensburg-Salem game is going to be another game that Greensburg has that's going to be on the ground. They need to stop him, and the defensive line needs to bulk up and be able to get that stops.
Yeah, speaking of that game that Greensburg-Salem just had, that's going to be quite a matchup, West Mifflin versus Belle Vernon in the near future. Those 2 running backs going against each other will be something to see.
Yeah, and Laurel Highlands, they're in that Big 8 conference. Now let's take a look at other scores around the Big 8. There you see Greensburg-Salem and Belle Vernon, our high school game of the week. 48-14, Belle Vernon had the victory over Greensburg-Salem.
Yeah, we'll have those highlights coming on up in the show, but Belle Vernon's Mason Pascoe will tell you to you now, just dominated that game like he's dominated every game so far this season that he's played in. So even against TJ earlier in the year, he still had a great game, did Pascoe.
In Indiana, a victory over Trinity, 27-21, continuing on in the Big 8 conference. Thomas Jefferson over Connellsville, a blowout there. Beaver and Ringgold faced off. These are 2 non-conference games. Beaver, big victory, 49-7. But Colin, Thomas Jefferson, they are as legit as we keep talking about.
Without a doubt, I mean, week to week we talk about how big of a force they're going to be throughout the state later on in the year. Once again, flexing their muscle here over Connellsville, showing just how many points they can put up on the board and in bunches as well. So look out for TJ in the future.
Yep, and continuing on for the Big 8 standings, Thomas Jefferson, like you said, Colin, they are a powerhouse. They stay in first in that Big East, the Big 8. West Mifflin and Belle Vernon right behind them, and you got to think it's a 3-horse race.
Yeah, it is a 3-horse race, especially all 3 teams have great running backs, great ground game. And TJ is just one of those teams that can do both really, really good and score on both sides.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a great ending to this standing and see who comes up on top.
Yeah, and you know what, Dylan? West Mifflin had sort of a disappointing season last year. They didn't really live up to that West Mifflin Titan potential, and this year, I mean, in the second spot in the Big 8, that's difficult to do.
Yeah, they're 3-0 in the conference, but 3-3 overall. That means they've played a tough non-conference schedule, and that could prepare a team for a team like Thomas Jefferson to go to Thomas Jefferson and get an upset later on in the year. That could be something West Mifflin's been cooking up with playing those tougher teams. I knew they played up a division against Franklin Regional a couple weeks ago and fell in a tough loss there, but that could prepare a team for a Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's one of the best rivalries in Western PA football. Now, as we continue on into the Big East 3A scoreboard, Deer Lake's victory over Burrell and Elizabeth Forward, one of our pick'em games from last week, a win over Derry. That one was a close one, Devin. Elizabeth Forward 25-22.
Yeah, Elizabeth Forward was able to stop Justin Flack and his touchdown frenzy that he had last week with 4 touchdowns. But Elizabeth Forward able to score their own points and really step up on defense in this game.
And Derry had a great defensive performance against North Catholic last week. Everybody was a bit surprised that Elizabeth Forward was able to score that many points against that tough Derry defense.
Yeah, that Derry defense is tough, one of the toughest in the Whippeal. Continuing with Big East 3A, North Catholic, huge win over Mount Pleasant. Freeport over York. And continuing on in the Big East, Beaver Falls just crushes that Uniontown team 68-6. And we'll see what that does to the Big East standings. Elizabeth Forward in first place. Colin, does this surprise you at all, or is this exactly what you expected out of EF?
Well, I knew they were going to be top 3 going into the season regardless. We watched them last year. They were very good at what they did football-wise, and now it's a 3-team race. Didn't really expect Derry, to be honest with you, but I knew North Catholic and EF on a collision course, and we are going to get to witness it live this week, guys.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be our good tease there, Colin. It is our CTV game of the week this week, so keep on the lookout for that. And this is the first year, I believe, North Catholic's been in this conference since the redistricting and everything like that over the winter break. So that's going to be a huge showdown, and really it's what the conference is going to come down to, because if North Catholic wins that game, then that means it's a 3-way tie for first place in the conference.
Yeah, but if you're EF and you're looking at that last game that North Catholic played, I mean, does that intimidate you at all, or do you just kind of have to look past that?
No, you just have to look past that. Basically, look what Derry did to stop North Catholic, and then go off of that. Just watch some film, get some good takes, and be able to put the run down on them and the pass game.
That's a great point. That's going to give their offense confidence that they can score against Derry when North Catholic wasn't. So also their defense there for EFs can say, we can shut down this North Catholic team.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Our game of the week, we have a fantastic schedule for our game of the week this year, but now we're going to go into the Interstate Conference. Charleroi falls by 1 point to Beth Center. McGuffey 56-28 over Southmoreland. Colin, Beth Center, huge win, defeating Charleroi, who Dylan once said that they were going to win this conference.
He did. Charleroi was 4-1. They were entering this game averaging 59 points per contest, but Beth Center found a way to shut them down and beat them by 1, as you said. Charleroi off to their best start since 1989 until that loss.
And how does this make Beth Center seem as legit as they are? This is a good Charleroi team.
Well, you misquoted me too. I said Beth Center or Charleroi could win this conference. But the sneaky team that no one's talking about right now is McGuffey, undefeated in the conference right now. If they can go beat Beth Center, watch out for McGuffey.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think they already have. I believe they already have beat the Beth Center. So this conference is wacky here in the Interstate.
The Interstate, it's a tough one continuing on in the Interstate. Washington continues their hot streak, 42-0 over Fraser. Carmichael's falls to East Allegheny in that non-conference matchup. Continuing on in the Interstate, Jeanette Gary Smith, sorry. That's actually not as bad as I thought, because this is a good Jeanette team, and that's not the best Brownsville side.
Yeah, Jeanette's definitely one of the best teams that this side of the state has to offer, and Brownsville gave them all they had, nonetheless.
Yep.
Big win for Jeanette.
Yeah, huge. Shout out Terrell Pryor, Jeanette graduate. McGuffey sits up there in the interstate standings, 4-0 in the conference, 6-0 overall. But what really surprises me is Washington down there in that 4th spot. I mean, you had to think that. I think I even said they were most likely to win this interstate conference.
Yeah, definitely. You look at that. Washington lost to Charleroi. Charleroi lost to Best Center, and Best Center lost to McGuffey. So that's quite the top. That's 4 teams that could easily make a run in the playoffs and could beat up on each other. So this is going to be interesting. Does one of these teams get left out of the playoffs? So that's why all these conference games are going to be so important for these 4 teams.
Yeah, I agree. Interstate might be a sneaky, most competitive conference that we have in the WPIAL. But that's all we have for this segment. We're going to take a quick break, and after the break, we have the CUTV Game of the Week highlights, single A scores and standings, 5A scores and standings, and of course, our hometown standings. Please don't touch that dial. Stay tuned for more high school roundup here on CUTV.
High school football is back on CUTV. Brownsville versus Bentworth. Upper Dauphin versus Millersburg. Charleroi versus Fraser. California versus Washington. Belle Vernon versus Greensburg-Salem. Elizabeth Ford versus North Catholic. Carmichaels versus Union. Ringgold versus West Mifflin. Beth Center versus Fraser. Catch all the action on your home for high school football. CUTV, California University Television.
Welcome back to High School Roundup right here on CUTV. I am your host, Stephen Ruffing, and with me is Colin Kirkwood, Dylan Goodday, and Devin Urena. First off, first order of business, high school game of the week. Dylan or Devin has the highlights.
Devin has the highlights this week.
Yeah.
He's been the highlight man recently.
Recently. He has been.
Yeah, this game was high-scoring game for Belle Vernon. Way to shut out this Greensburg-Salem team. And as we get into the highlights here, you can see what I'm talking about. Right here, all Mason Pascoe, as we teased a little earlier. First touch of the game, all the way to the end zone for a touchdown. Great way to start off and deflate Greensburg-Salem's defense right away. Right here, his second touch of the game, jumps through 2 defenders, busts out to the outside. You think the one guy's going to catch up to him, he's too fast for him, running downhill, and dives right into the end zone for the touchdown. Go up 14-0 here. That was a 70-yard run. You could see that on top 3 plays, maybe, teasing it a little bit. Here's his other touchdown, his 3rd touchdown of the game. Not his 3rd touch, but still very impressive. 21-0. This Greensburg-Salem team not looking so hot right now. As you can see right here, this is actually Larry Calloway. Both running backs getting in on the scoring. And this led them 28-0. And then Greensburg-Salem wants to answer back a little bit and pass right over the middle. That's Herzog. And one thing that surprised me in this game is putt non-existent in this game. We thought that it was going to be on-the-ground running game, and as you can see here for Belle Vernon it was, and this was his 4th touchdown of the game, Mason Pascoe, to go up 35-7, and he's just churning them wheels and getting into the end zone as fast as he can. Right here you can see Belle Vernon again, that is Larry Calloway. Both running backs getting into this scoring frenzy, and this is a great running team, and the offensive line for Belle Vernon making great holes there for them. And I believe Greensburg-Salem tries to make a late comeback, but it's really, honestly, you're out of the picture here, but this is a great run by Adam Kuchina to at least get on the scoreboard here, 48-14. And Pascoe, 4 touchdowns here on the ground. One was a 70-yard touchdown, and he has a total of 990 yards on the season, which is the 4th leading rusher in the Whippeal. And that's just amazing to see from West Green team or Belle Vernon team, and they could make a really good playoff run here.
Yeah, they could. It's going to come down to TJ and Belle Vernon again. We say it every year, but like we were talking about in their segment earlier, how about that game coming up in the season? Parrish Parker versus Mason Pascoe.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of yards running the football. It's going to be an old-fashioned run-up-the-middle football game.
Yeah, you know, it continues to be one of the best conferences that we cover with West Mifflin, with TJ, especially when West Mifflin is at their best, when Belle Vernon is at their best, and even when Ringgold, you know, they ever had a down season right now, even when Ringgold is at their best, that is 5 teams, 5 powerhouse teams, potential powerhouse teams. But great game there, a lot of penalties. 42 total.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't want
there
to
was
talk
a lot.
about
Yeah, there was a
flags
lot. It was a
in
long
that
game than it should have been.
I wasn't there, so I figured I'd just, you know, crack down on them a little bit. Now let's go into the Tri-County South standings, or I'm sorry, scoreboards. Monessen, 44-21 over Bentworth. California finally getting back at it. I believe I picked Jeff Morgan in that game, but I don't want to talk about that. 54-0 California got that win, but Monessen, a big win over Bentworth. Devin.
Yeah, this Monessen team is just 4-1. They were down 13-0, and that's just ridiculous to come back from 13-0. A lot of teams are down a lot, and they just throw away the game in the first half, and I guess they got a good pep talk at halftime and led them to come back.
Yeah, that was a good one, close, and then Monessen finally pulled away with it. Continuing on in the Tri-County South, Chartiers Houston 48-0 over Mapletown. West Green flexing a little bit on Avella. Now we'll see what this does to the Tri-County South standings. West Green stays at the top after that Avella, that win against Avella.
Yeah, West Green really surprising everybody this year. I know a lot of people are looking at California to pick up where they left off in terms of last year, running the table and really showing this Tri-County South what was up last year. But now West Green really making an impact at the top of the standings for this Tri-County South.
And they're literally running away with it. They're one of the top rushing teams in the Whippeal this year. Their defense has been fantastic. This West Green team's coming together at the right time, and it's going to be a big play. They have the potential to make a big playoff push. Last year was the first year for them making the playoffs in numerous years. So West Green, we don't talk a lot about them in recent years, but this is the year that they may be able to shine.
Yeah, I know. And this is the conference, dude, Tri-County South. It's free for all almost every single year. It's unpredictable. Now let's go into Big East 5A scores and standings. Franklin Regional, huge 65-0 win over Albert Gallatin. McKeesport, 45-14 over Latrobe. Continuing on in Big East. Penn Trafford, 45-3 over Plum. And Gateway, what a game that was. I think I picked North Hills in that too, in that non-conference game. Colin, 45-0. I think that's pretty unpredictable.
Gateway outgained the Indians in total offensive yards, 505 to 0, and that is 100% correct there, and you don't hear anything like that, and it just shows why Gateway is the top-ranked team in 5A right now.
Yeah, they are, and again, that was completely unpredictable. I thought I picked North Hills, and hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, they have one of the best point differentials in the Whippeal as well. 45 points for and 5.5 against. To hold a team to 0 yards in a game, I don't think people understand how difficult that is.
Super
that defense
difficult.
They didn't miss a hole. They plugged every single hole the entire game. They did not let this North Hills team do absolutely anything. That is one of the most impressive performances you will see in high school football.
Yeah, and you know what? That keeps them at the top. Continuing on in the Big East scoreboard, TJ, that non-conference over Connellsville, we saw that a little bit ago, 56-14. Now in the standings, Gateway, of course, keeps that top spot. Franklin Regional at their heels right now.
And a little tease, those two teams play each other this week. That's one of our pick'em games. That's going to be a fantastic game. Franklin Regional, we saw what they did to West Mifflin earlier, shutting them down. Let's see what they do against a Gateway team that we just saw. Talk about defense. Holding a
Yeah.
team to 0 points, that's
Yeah,
defense.
and Devin, just a little like Gateway. I mean, they're incredible, and this Franklin Regional team is just as good.
Yeah, this Franklin Regional team, if they can stop Gateway's offensive powerhouse, and it could go 0-0.
Yep.
If they could step up on defense and get the stops, and maybe get a field goal like at last second, or get some yardage.
Yeah.
And they just have to find the weaknesses in that defense, in Gateway's defense, and extort them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get into our pick'ems. And right before we go to break, we have our hometown standings as well to see what our old high schools were doing. Conrad Weiser, which is Devin's old high school. Steel Valley is mine. Central Dauphin, Danny. Buchanan Upshur is Dylan. Laurel Highlands is Bobby D. Brownsville is, of course, Gary, and Millersburg, those two teams at the bottom. Guys, how'd your teams do this week?
Well, Millersburg played last night in an odd fashion. The field was a little bit torn up from rain. They had a soccer game that kind of messed up the grass and whatnot, but Millersburg was once again shut out by the Newport Buffaloes Monday night at home, so rough start here.
My high school team played against a Bridgeport team that they haven't beat in 20 years, and it was actually such a close game. Only lost by 1 point, came back. It came down to a 2-point conversion in the final seconds of the game. So my team, big shout out, close loss, but one of the best games they've had in a while.
Yeah, my team won against Exeter, and Exeter is always a really, really good team from where I'm at. And just to get that win, Alex McKenzie on both sides, quarterback and defensive back, just amazing performance by Conrad Weiser in this game.
Yeah, a lot of hometown standings. Conrad Weiser stays at top. We're going to go to a quick break. After the break, your favorite segment, Pick'ems and Top 3 Plays here on High School Roundup on CUTV.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Are you a visual storyteller? The Cal Times and CUTV is looking for students with an interest in expanding their skills in photography and videography. We call it visual journalism, and we're here to offer you opportunities to learn how to shoot and edit from a wide range of events at California University of Pennsylvania. Our focus is on local coverage of sports and news events from campus and around the region. We provide on-site training as we help you develop your skills as a visual multimedia storyteller for the Cal Times newspaper and CUTV News Center. To learn more about visual journalism opportunities and join our team, visit our media production facility in the Natali Student Center or email the Cal Times at caltimes@calu.edu.
And welcome back. We're going to jump right into the top 3 plays here quickly. Number 3, Mason Pascoe. You saw it earlier. Pascoe rushing up the middle, 70 yards, and one of the quickest guys you'll see. Look at his feet moving right there. Looks like they sped the video up, but no, that's just Pascoe rushing and diving into the end zone for a touchdown. Next is number 2. This is from the Laurel Highlands West Mifflin game. Parrish Parker, talked a lot about him earlier. Here he goes for over 70 yards himself. Rushes out to the left side of the field. Looks like he stopped upfield, breaks a tackle, slows down, then speeds right up, breaks all of the defenders' angles as there is no shot to catch Parker as he easily gets in on a 72-yard rush. Number 1 play from this week. It's a kickoff return by Andre Spencer. Over 95 yards here, 92 yards officially, as he breaks some tackles, makes a guy, made him fall down right on his face there at the end of the game. Andre Spencer rushing into the end zone for over 92 yards. And is this play enough to top the blue ribbon play? Devin and I discussed it, and it is. Yep. We were talking about how that catch by Bentworth, one-handed catch, didn't score. But here, 92 yards, you break a couple tackles, make guys miss. That's one of the toughest plays to do. You don't see kickoff returns like this too often. Andre Spencer getting into the end zone. So shout out to Andre Spencer. He is now our blue ribbon play for this season.
A little controversy on that one.
Yeah,
It's controversial.
It's a good Laurel Highlands team, and the fact that he
True.
broke four
Yeah.
of the players' tackles and scored. I just thought that, and plus 90 yards is
That's
always
true. It's the first kick return Laurel Highlands led up this season, so good on them. Now, into the pick'ems, the standings. Twitter peeps stay up there. Dylan, don't want to get your head too big. We're just going to skip right over you. Bobby D in third. He does his research. He's actually tied with Dylan overall. Colin went 5-1 with the high school Roundup puppy, 16-8 overall as well. And that high school Roundup puppy happens to be Colin's puppy. Conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's a very controversial
flags.
episode
Red
so
flags,
far.
yeah.
And then myself had a disappointing week, 3-3, but I'll be back. Gary Smith, Danny Beck, Devin, you're at the bottom. Lone bottom.
I'm on the comeback. Just wait.
All right,
This
yeah,
week
we'll
is
see.
my week.
I won't hold my breath. All right, let's go into the upcoming games. West Green versus California. I'm riding high with West Green. Very surprised Dylan went West Green as well. Colin.
Whoops.
Colin went both.
Well, I wanted West
Oh,
Green,
man.
so I guess I must have not taken that X out. So
Yeah, well-
West Green is what I'm looking for here.
And your puppy
Oh,
as
and
well.
the puppy went both.
Definitely conspiracy. We're going to have to investigate this.
Yeah,
Oh,
red
okay,
flags. We got
okay.
it.
Wow.
Yep.
But Danny, he's going with California. The only one. No, Devin's going California as well. Colin, I don't know what Bobby D's going with.
Yeah. Tell us, what did Bobby
This
D
was
pick in
this was a bye week for the graphics guy. Let's go into the next pick with Beth Center versus East Allegheny, and boy, these graphics they're calling. But Dylan, who did you?
I'm
pick?
going East Allegheny in this game.
Wow.
So I don't think it's an upset. East Allegheny, I think they're a powerhouse team. Best center coming off a win. But East Allegheny's won a couple games big this year. I think it goes East Allegheny.
Yeah, we'll see about that one. All right, next graphic for our next pick on Freeport versus Deer Lakes. This was the toss-up,
Yeah.
I believe. A lot of different picks. I went Freeport, Dylan went Freeport, Danny went Deer Lakes, Colin and Devin went Deer Lakes. And going on to the next one, Greensburg-Salem versus West Mifflin, the high school Roundup puppy. This is where Colin just had to toss in a mix to really throw us off. But I think West Mifflin has enough.
Throwing a bone
Hey,
there
man.
with Greensburg-Salem.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Dog always goes with animal-themed high schools. That's been the way it's gone all season.
That's fair. That's fair. Next game for our pick'ems: Gateway versus Franklin Regional. Another one. I don't know. I'm starting to think this high school Roundup puppy just doesn't know his high school football. Anyway,
She knows her football, trust me.
well, do we have one more game? I believe. Oh, that is my high roll pick. Oh, this is Gateway versus Franklin Regional. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm picking Franklin Regional because I think Gateway is just that good. And Franklin Regional is going to upset them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
what you said, but I mean that could be a sneaky play. If Franklin Regional's offense gets going, shuts their defense down.
Yeah.
I mean that's
Yeah.
a possibility. Definitely, I could see it happening.
Yeah, and continuing on, North Catholic versus EF. This is our game of the week, and I think North Catholic's good. Elizabeth Ford has disappointed in the past, guys. Why are your picks?
Yeah, I was going to pick against Elizabeth Ford last week, but I said, you know what, I'm going to pick for them
Yeah.
because they've ended up winning every game in here, a high school game of the week.
Yep.
And they surprised a lot of teams with that win against Derry. If they can do the same thing, I think North Catholic's not even close to as good a team as Derry is. So
Yeah.
I think that this EF team, if their offense gets going, Zach Benedict, the quarterback, I think they have a shot to really maybe even blow this game out.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a great game for our game of the week. That's all we have for you this episode. We will see you next week for some more high school football and some more high school roundup right here on CUTV. Thank you to everyone involved. For everyone on set, I'm Stephen Ruffing. Have a great day.